All right, so we're just gonna half this spaghetti squash, spray it with some oil, put it on a baking sheet, and bake it for probably around 45 minutes or so until it's soft enough that you can like easily put the knife in. So when you cut this in half, just make sure you take the sticker off. Don't roast it with the sticker.
Yum.
Yeah, but these can get pretty hard to cut. I'm using a big knife because I'm gonna chop some potatoes and I don't want to dirty up a bunch of knives. But I found it easier to use like a paring knife to slice these things. But I'm using a big, what I think is called the chef's knife. And since I'm a chef, I'm gonna use the chef's knife.
Put the hip into it.
It's always hip power. So cut it in half. Cut the video. All right, so now you're just gonna take all the seeds and unsightly stuff out of the middle.
That's what you can let your kids eat.
Only if they're good. All right. You can stop there. All right, so then you're just gonna give it a light coat of olive oil on the inside, and then salt and pepper. And then there's a little trick. I saw this somewhere, or Sarah saw it somewhere. But basically, you just give a light spray of olive oil on the outside. And I thought, well, why the hell would you do that? But it makes sense because the oil's gonna get really hot and it probably helps it cook a little bit more evenly. So I'm gonna put this on the bottom rack because we got some potatoes to chop up. And then this thing right here, knife goes in nice and easy. Y'all remember how hard that was to cut earlier? So now I know that that spaghetti squash is done. And we're gonna let this cool before we even do anything with it. This pan right here is a little bigger, so we're gonna use it to make our Italian meat sauce. And this is homemade. I just made this and jarred it. Just kidding, we got 2 for 1. This has sugar in it, yeah I know, but I don't think you'll go to hell for eating sugar. So we just dump that whole thing in there. We'll kind of give it a little stir. And then we're just gonna let it kind of simmer and heat up and let the meat get, you know, soak it all up or whatever the hell happens. But that's how easy it is to make spaghetti, y'all. And you just heat this up till it simmers. So if you want to like impress somebody with your cooking skills, you can make spaghetti because it's literally a 3-step process.
Uh-oh, that's how Letty and the Tramp did it. Go.
Yeah, so all the water's cooked out of our meat, so I'm just gonna turn the burner off. I'm gonna let it cool down because I'm not gonna eat it right now, but I'm gonna let it cool down before I put it in its containers. And I'm gonna keep it separate from the potatoes. Like I don't like to make all my dishes, you know, like plated or whatever, because you know, maybe I want to do some taco meat with the spaghetti squash instead of spaghetti meat with the spaghetti squash, right? Or Italian sauce with the spaghetti squash. And maybe vice versa. Maybe I'll do some sweet potato with meat sauce and some little sprinkle of Parmesan cheese. You know, you just kind of mix it up, and that way you're not eating the same thing over and over again. So the spaghetti squash has been cooling, cool enough to handle. So basically I'm just gonna take my fork and I'm gonna rake it lightly, and all that stuff is now like shredded up like spaghetti noodles. That's good.